2020.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Jasmine Brooks. This is CBS 21, our election 2020 coverage, and you can see all the results at the bottom of your screen.
And I'm Joel D. Smith. Tonight, we have the insight, the analysis of all those key races we're tracking. The mail-in ballot situation is getting very interesting, and we don't know who won the presidential election yet, but we're here to see where PA stands right now, and everyone is talking about Pennsylvania. Maybe the big one again.
It's not something that people are jumping to call.
Right. So let's get back to the big board right now. You're seeing some of this in the national news. This is the Electoral College and what is still out there. Pennsylvania remains gray. Some other ones are getting closer to being called, but most people think it's going to come down to us, Jasmine.
Absolutely. Let's dive in a little bit deeper into Pennsylvania and the reason that people are, shying away from calling it the mail-in ballots. The
mail-in ballots, yes, but let's just at least see where we are with
Sure.
the walk-in percentage so far. 54 to 42%. Donald Trump has a lead right now, but this is really counting some of the mail-in ballots, but mostly people that are coming in.
Right.
We know that was supposed to be Republicans, not a big surprise. So about a 350,000 vote lead. Seems like a lot, but not when you look at the mail-in ballots. Look at this huge number right here. 700,000 have been counted, but that means 1.8 million still remain out there, and that's a lot. So we'll see how this turns out. But that big number, and most of them are Democratic votes, could change everything.
All right, how are the Philly suburbs doing in those collar counties?
Well, here's something interesting. You think you have a 350,000 vote lead if you're Donald Trump? Not if this is coming from Philadelphia.
Right.
You put all those into his bank, and now this thing gets really close really fast.
0 ballots, mail-in ballots counted
So
in that
far,
county.
yep.
Wow. Joel D., thank you so much. We'll be back to you in no time. And we do have election 2020 team coverage across the region tonight. We're going to start things off with Ryan Eldridge in Harrisburg. Ryan, what's the latest there?
Well, Jasmine, what we're following right now is a legal challenge that was filed this evening by Republicans in regards to invalid ballots and counties or election officials reaching out to those voters to let them know that they still had time to come in and vote provisionally or to correct or fix those ballots that have those mistakes, something like missing a signature or a naked ballot that we've heard so much. We have Michael Domino joining us from Widener Commonwealth Law. And Michael, this is something we've been talking about for weeks on CBS 21. We talked about Lebanon County doing this, and now this is being challenged in court. Can you talk about how this can affect Pennsylvanians?
Oh, absolutely. That the Pennsylvania state law is that if you don't comply with the rules, if you submit a naked ballot or if your ballot is invalid for some other reason, your ballot's not supposed to count. And so these election officials in the counties who got these invalid ballots put them in a pile, and they said, well, maybe we can correct these problems. How about the poll watchers come in, take a look at who had these ballots, give them a call, see if they can come in, and then submit a provisional ballot that would count in the event that we have to discard or reject these ballots that were invalid.
Yeah, and we have Secretary of State Kathy Boockvar reacting to this not too long ago at PEMA headquarters. Let's take a listen to what she had to say.
There is absolutely nothing in Pennsylvania law that prohibits that practice. That was an opportunity for the parties, both parties, all candidates, to choose to contact the voters to let them know that they had a deficiency and that they could vote by provisional ballot. That's completely valid.
All right, so she said that's invalid. Your reaction to that, Michael?
Well, there are two things in Pennsylvania law that might bear on this. The Commonwealth Court, of course, is going to be the one to decide, but the law does say that poll watchers should not contact voters directly. They shouldn't talk to voters. They shouldn't ask voters any questions. And so, and in fact, the Secretary of State issued guidance to the county election officials saying that poll watchers shouldn't do that. So when the poll watchers invited when the county election officials invited the poll watchers to call the voters and say, come in and submit a provisional ballot, they might have infringed on that provision. And the other provision of Pennsylvania law is that there is a provision that says the pre-canvass information, the material that the election boards gather when the envelopes come in, that's not supposed to be disclosed. Right. And so the Republicans are arguing that the Secretary violated those provisions.
Michael Domino, thank you so much for all your insight. Of course, we're going to continue to monitor this legal challenge. You can learn more on our website, cbs21.com. Live in Dauphin County, Ryan Eldridge, CBS 21 News.
Ryan, thank you. 3 hours after polls are closed, results are trickling in to be tabulated. CBS 21's Michael Gorsinger live now at the York County Bureau of Elections with the very latest there. Michael.
Yeah, and that process delayed for a bit because there were long lines at East Manchester Township, York County, as well as a polling location in Hopewell Township. Officials deciding not to release any of the results until the last voter has gone through. Now, we have learned, thankfully, some 3 hours after the polls closed, those voters now making their way through, everything able to be slowly tabulated, and the results will start flowing. So this was the scene just a few minutes ago. That's where the scanning process is going through for mail-in ballots. Some 75,000 mail-in ballots being worked through by 4 high-speed scanners. Now, that process has been finished. That good news, of course, as the election results will now trickle in.
Our ultimate goal was to duplicate our accomplishment in the primary, and that was to have all of the mail-in ballots that have been received up through and including today counted today, and I'm very confident that we will be able to do that.
Again, as we see those results start to come in, they will be posted. Keep in mind, one of those races, like the Pennsylvania 10th, the congressional district, which encompasses both York County, Cumberland, and Dauphin County, that will be a bunch of different results coming in. So that'll go throughout the evening. So of course, we'll stay on top of it, have the very latest as it becomes available. Live in York County, Michael Gorsinger, CBS 21 News.
All right, Michael, we'll check in with you in a bit. We're back at the big board with some breaking news. The Associated Press now calling another state in the last few minutes.
This is the biggest board, right? The electoral map. And they're saying it's New Hampshire getting those 4 electoral votes. So we're on our way to 270. We will get there at some point tonight, or maybe we won't. It might be tomorrow. That's why you're watching, right? And see how close we can get if Pennsylvania seems to be the determiner. But this is where we are right now as we continue to go throughout the rest of the night.
Let's dive deeper into Pennsylvania right now. I want to focus on the 10th Congressional District, a race we've been following that seems to have flipped within the past 30 minutes.
It has
or so.
changed, yeah. Eugene T. Pasquale had a 10,000 vote lead last time we checked. Well, now we're more to about a third of the precincts have reported in, a little more than that. And Scott Perry has the slimmest of margin lead right now.
And there's a holdup here. What's the holdup?
Well, you got to
County.
say it's a lead, but it's not going to be a win tonight because that takes us back to the mail-in ballots. And in particular, when you come to Cumberland County right here, 52,000 votes, that's part of that district, will not be counted until tomorrow. So unless you have a lead bigger than that, and it seems very unlikely, you will not know who wins that race until tomorrow.
All right, Joel D. at the big board. We're going to check in with you again very soon. Our election coverage just getting started tonight. We'll update you on what both presidential candidates are doing as these results continue to roll in tonight. That's coming up. Here is the live look now.
You're watching CBS 21 News at 11.
A live look tonight at the White House, where President Trump is reportedly watching the election coverage with his supporters. And if and when he does make any remarks about tonight's race, we'll take you there live. Let's go to Biden campaign headquarters now. This is the Chase Center in Wilmington, Delaware. Democratic hopeful Joe Biden is spending the night at home tonight with his family, and many of his supporters are there, right there.
Folks, yeah, everybody's there.
In Delaware. All right, Joel D. at the big board. We got some breaking news just over the past few minutes. 4 more states being called by the Associated Press. We're moving on to the West Coast now, where they just closed the polls.
Right, so the polls just closed. We're not real surprised by these numbers, but we want to see how close we can get to 270. So California, Oregon, Washington, all going to Joe Biden. Just like last time went to Hillary Clinton. And then you come over here to Idaho. That is going red. Once again, just like last time. So I'm going to hit the 2016 map just for a second. Now, this is current. This is the map we're at right now in 2020 in real time. But we go back to 2016. Certain things need to be filled in, but you're not seeing any surprises quite yet. And of course, we're over here still in the wait and see category. So a lot still to consider. But I want to take us back now to what we are seeing in our area. Some of the folks in our area, I mean, overall, we're still seeing that lead by Donald Trump. But how much of a lead? How red are some of these spots? Well, Lancaster County is looking at 61 to 36%. What was it like before? Pretty close. And then we come over here to Perry County, 74%. 73%. So we're seeing some of the same trends continue. And what about Chester County? That's where we thought would be a big advantage for Joe Biden. Well, it is, just like it was before. So we're seeing very similar results, which what could that mean? How about another close race, just like last time?
Yes, much more to get to, and we are back in just minutes. Let's take a quick break. And welcome back to our 2020 coverage here with Joel D. Smith on the big board. A lot to watch tonight.
Yeah, and let's just take a look at some more of our local counties and see how things are going so far. Now that we're getting close to almost 50% of the precincts reporting so far. But once again, when we say precincts, that's the in-person voting, which we've seen a lot of, but you always have to add it to that number of mail-in votes that are still coming in throughout the night as well. Let's go over here right now. This is Adams County, 79% to 18%. Half the precincts are in. We compare it to before, and it's relatively close, but a certain amount of numbers there.
To Gettysburg, Biden was there recently to campaign. Thanks for showing us that one.
Right, a lot of good things to see there, but right now we want to see what's going on with Tom and what's happening with the weather. Tom Russell.
And now, CBS 21 News First Warning Weather with Chief Meteorologist Tom Russell.
Hey guys, great job with the election coverage tonight, but we are actually cool tonight, but then warming things up. Take a peek at where we're headed tomorrow. You ready for some 60s? This is going to feel pretty good as we take a look ahead here. I guess as you look at some of these numbers, let me see if I can show you what our average highs would be this time of year. Check it out, as we should be in the upper 50s. That's a little more like it, right? So as we head into the weekend, though, check this out. We're headed for the 70s. How about that? So a big warm up is coming our way. Here are your winning numbers. That's what I call 70s in November. It's like winning the weather lotto. So we're headed through the upper 60s, 70s by the weekend. It's going to feel pretty good. There is a major weather story to talk about, though. It has to do with the tropics as we take you down to Hurricane Zeta. Winds at 105 miles per hour and moving inland. And you can see it made landfall, but still with the strong winds still barely moving to the west at 6 miles per hour. So really becoming a problem through Central America. But it doesn't end there. Check this out. Works its way back over the open waters of the Western Caribbean and becomes a tropical storm once again headed towards Florida. Can you see that toward the end of the weekend? Incredible numbers here. Look at this. Look at the bottom right number that comes up there. 28 named storms so far. Look at that. 28 is the record. So we've tied the record from back in 2005. So big warm up coming. It starts tomorrow. So a cool start, then 64. How about 67, 68? You see it right through the weekend. Gorgeous sunshine up to 70 for both Saturday and Sunday. Very warm, and that'll push into next week. Now we do see some clouds rolling in for Monday, Tuesday, but honestly, I don't see any rain chance until Wednesday of next week. So it's a pretty long stretch of very warm and dry weather. So that's a look at your forecast. Looks like most folks are voting, or at least Mother Nature's voting for the warmer side of things. Guys, back to you.
All right, Tom Russell, thank you. When we return, we are shifting our focus back to the presidency. The latest on the race to the White House in crucial states after the break. Welcome back. We are continuing to follow major races and developments here across the Commonwealth. Jasmine Brooks alongside Joel D. Smith. And you voted this morning in Lancaster County, where you've noticed something's going on there right now.
Well, if you're following along with us, but also maybe checking out some stats on your own, you may see that there's an interesting number happening in Lancaster County right now. Let's look at this. Mail-in ballot requests, 108,000. Mail-in ballots returned, 89,000. Counted, 142,000. This is just an error in the way that they're putting these numbers together. They're actually adding in all of the numbers, and they're coming under this mail-in ballot counted category. So it's actually the in-person ballots and the mail-in ballots end up coming together. So no other problems here. It's just the way it got counted this time, so it's a little bit off, but they've told us about this, so we really know what's happening now.
Take us through some of our central Pennsylvania rural counties. Perry County, how are they doing?
Yeah, you want to see actually how they're voting so far as these numbers continue to go. Look at this, 123 out of 242. We're halfway there to getting the precincts counted. Once again, precincts is in person voting, not the mail-ins. But we come over here, we're going to check out Perry County. They are done. Look, 31 out of 31. It was 74% to 23%, and back in 2016, just about the same. So very consistent voting there in Perry County. We're going to come over here to Franklin County. They have to have a lot of ballots to count tomorrow with the mail-ins. They're getting close, still about 20 more precincts to go, and this is the difference there as Donald Trump's increasing a lead there, and you're looking at a small amount of votes. I want to go over to Philadelphia here. This is where we're expected to see that big, wide spread from Joe Biden, and it's happening. They still have a lot of precincts to report, but remember, back then, it was an 82-15 spread. Now we're looking at 76-22.
And show us the numbers of those mail-in ballots. That's very interesting when you're talking Philadelphia County.
Right. So Philadelphia County, mail-in ballots, 351,000 have been returned. We haven't counted any of them into the totals that we're showing you. So let's just assume a lot of those are Democratic ballots. We're talking about Philadelphia, big-time Democratic stronghold. So we add those into this count. Let's just say it's 300,000. And our total number here, add 300,000 to this, and we're looking almost at a dead heat again.
I want to take a look at the full screen for that for the presidential race right now, Joel D. Let's put that up. So here is the election as it stands right here in Pennsylvania at this very minute. 55% for Donald Trump, 42% for Joe Biden. Let's go next to some local races. The 10th district, keeping a close eye on this one. 54% for incumbent Republican Scott Perry and Eugene DePasquale, the Democratic nominee, trailing behind at 46% at this hour. And Attorney General Heather Heidelbaugh now in the lead with 52%. Josh Shapiro, the incumbent, 45%. And State Treasurer Stacey Garrity in the lead with 54% and trailing behind Joe Torsella, 42%. We have one more, and that is Auditor General taking the spot of Eugene DePasquale. Timothy DeFore, your Republican candidate, with 55% right now, and Nina Ahmed, 41%. We've set up a hotline if you run across any voting issues, if you have seen any voting irregularities today throughout the entire process, really, and if you have been denied access to cast your ballot, contact authorities and then report it to CBS 21 News. You can call us at the number on your screen, 717-857-3614. You can email us, WHP News, electionvm@sbgtv.com, or you can reach out to us on Facebook as well. And we are back in minutes. Stay with us.
Sorry about that, Charlie. My fault.
Hey everybody, welcome back for our election 2020 coverage. Right now I'm joined by our political insiders, Democratic strategist Mark Singal, Republican strategist Charlie Giroux. I hope you guys are still awake. I know you are. Been a long night, but it's going to be an even longer one. I will start with you, Mark. You said early on you thought that Philadelphia would be very strong. Looks like it was. Do you think it was strong enough if you're starting to look at some of those early numbers? We're seeing 76% to 22%, about 180,000 vote advantage.
Well, it's a big number. I'm not sure it's big enough, though. I think what we really need to do is to look at the mail-in ballots, and that is when you're going to get the final count for Pennsylvania. These are all pretty much the walk-in today vote totals. So we're not going to know tonight. That's the bottom line on Pennsylvania's final number.
So Mark, I'm bringing up that number right now to show on the screen. 350,000 ballots returned in Philadelphia. None have been counted yet. Charlie, what does that mean when we're looking at this overall lead by Donald Trump? But we know there are so many votes, probably Democratic votes, that haven't been counted yet.
Well, I've been giving that caveat to my Republican friends all evening, and Mark is correct. We're not going to know tonight. And the disposition of this election is going to lie in the counting of those absentee ballots. I think we all knew that all along, though. I don't think this is any great shock. The question is, will that big lead that Donald Trump has statewide, which is going to grow as the hours go on, going to be sufficient to overcome what the Democrats have tucked away in the early voting?
Have you guys looked at the national scene? We always think of Pennsylvania as this decider. Is it starting to shape up that way for you guys again? We'll start with Mark.
It might very well be looking that way. The only pickup change from 2016 seems to be Arizona in Biden's column. Maybe North Carolina still, but pretty much it looks like the same map. So it means that the blue wall has to be reconstructed if Joe Biden is going to win. So Pennsylvania matters, yes.
Charlie, same thing for you. What are you seeing so far when you're looking at that national picture and where Pennsylvania stands?
It's a boring show tonight because I agree with Mark. I mean, said all along that Pennsylvania was going to be the keystone, probably going to be the deciding state, certainly pivotal. President Trump is going to need to win one of those Midwestern states, and that may be at the end of that blue wall. Michigan, Minnesota, I think he's probably going to do pretty well in Iowa tonight, and it looks like, Mark is correct, he's going to lose Arizona, which is a state he won 4 years ago. So the math gets very interesting, but it all comes down to Pennsylvania's 20.
Oh, it always does. Hey, have you guys heard of any voting irregularities? We heard some issues beforehand, some fears that people had, but we haven't heard too much about this being a problem during the election cycle. I wonder if you guys have heard anything yet.
There were some problems, I know, in the western part of the state. As you know, in Allegheny County, there were 30,000 improper ballots mailed out, and that's still having repercussions because folks are showing up thinking that they are able to vote. They're being told they can't. They have to cast provisional ballots. In some places, there weren't enough ballots, so there have been some problems.
Mark, you get the final word, 15 seconds.
Well, that might be an anomaly, but I think by and large it went pretty smoothly. And there's a lot of ballots cast and a lot of confusing new ways to do it. So I think Pennsylvania's doing about the best it can.
All right, guys, we appreciate it so much. Stay awake, get some caffeine, whatever you have to do. It's going to be a long night, but we appreciate everything you have for us. Our political insiders here tonight.
Very good. All right, Joel D. I'm out of caffeine, by the way.
Well.
Hey, our team coverage continues right now. I want to send it out to Andrea Finney. She has been following updates from Governor Wolf, the Department of State as well. Andrea has new developments within the last half hour. Andrea, what are you hearing?
Well, new tonight, Senate Republican leaders are calling for the resignation of the Secretary of State, Kathy Boockvar, and she is responding now. I want to get straight to their statement. The GOP releasing it, saying in part, twice in the last 2 days, the Secretary of State has fundamentally altered the manner in which Pennsylvania's election is being conducted. The constantly changing guidance she has delivered to counties not only directly contradicts the election code language she is sworn to uphold, but also conflicts her own litigation statements and decisions of both the Pennsylvania Supreme Court and the United States Supreme Court. Now, Boockvar saying she is not resigning, and she says, frankly, she believes they should resign.
I think they're the ones that should resign for not having allowed Pennsylvania and this nation to start pre-canvassing ballots early, as 46 other states across the country have done. We would be getting results a lot sooner if they had.
She also says the counties misunderstood the guidance. They complemented each other. She said the second one building off the first. She said she completely disagreed with everything they said. Reporting live, Andrea Finney, CBS 21 News.
All right, Drea, thank you very, very much. All right, Joel D., we only have a few minutes left. I want to really push ahead to our final thoughts and the overall picture. If you could show us the presidential race at this hour one more time.
Sure. Okay, so let's count it up. We're about halfway through on these precincts reporting. That does not include all of the write-ins not the write-ins, the mail-in votes that have to come in as well. So it's going to be a long night. We know Pennsylvania matters. A couple of the things we're looking at, about a 400,000 vote lead. How big does that lead really need to be? Well, that comes down to the mail-ins. And what's this going to really be? Still, so many votes to be counted that are coming in, and that doesn't even consider the ones that could still be postmarked in time and then come in the next few days as well, Jasmine.
And of course, we've been talking all night about the 10th Congressional District. We have Cumberland, Dauphin, and parts of York County that it covers when it comes to Congressman Scott Perry, Eugene DePasquale. Perry in the lead, but it's neck and neck. And the thing is, again, with that Cumberland County,
Yeah, you get results now, and it's interesting, but you don't get the final results until tomorrow. So you got to tune in for us here. Right now, in case you're wondering, it's too close to call, within 2,000 votes, but you still got 50,000 votes coming in tomorrow at least when you're talking about Cumberland County and their mail-ins.
And of course, our election coverage continues at CBS21.com, including all of the races, and you can follow us on social media as well. And of course, we are going to have a lot going on tomorrow morning with a special broadcast at 9 o'clock as well. That's going to do it for our coverage right now.
We still have updates coming your way the rest of the night, 2 every half hour.
Good night.
See you later. See you soon.
Thank you for watching CBS 21 News, a Sinclair broadcast station. Get breaking news and weather on our app. Join us on Alexa, Facebook, and Twitter. And get the full story on CBS21.com.